All right, let's talk about rhythm. This is the principle of design that indicates movement by the repetition of elements. So there's a difference of like visual rhythm and audio rhythm. The visual rhythm is the rhythm that you see with your eyes rather than the rhythm that you hear with your ears. And visual rhythm is created by positive shapes surrounded by negative space. And we can see that here. The fence slats are the positive shapes, and it's surrounded by the negative space. So this um, uh, fence slat space, and so on creates this rhythm. We have a bunch of grapes. So this repetition of the grapes surrounded by the negative space of the space between the grapes creates a visual rhythm. The repetition of the lily pads separated by the water creates a visual rhythm. The repetition of the books creates a visual rhythm. The repetition of the people creates a visual rhythm, and the repetition of cars creates a visual rhythm. Visual rhythm creates a sensation of movement as the viewer's eyes follow the visual beats through a composition. So, for example, I show this slide or this artwork to my students and ask them, what direction is the movement going? And they all say it's going from left to right. As your eye follows from one horse to another, from one person to another, from one tree to another, it guides your eye from the left side to the right side. All right, I want you to know what a motif is. The motif is the unit that is being repeated. So in this quilt, we have things that are repeated. There are squares that are repeated. The square is a motif. There are triangles that are repeated. So the triangles are the motif. And there are half circles that are repeated, and that is the motif. So, and then there's these vertical lines and horizontal lines that are repeated, and those are the motifs. There's lots of motifs happening in here that are being repeated. And then there's like the triangle of the basket, but there's also little tiny triangles inside the triangle basket. So the motif is repeated in different places and in different scales. So in this picture, I ask my students, where's the motif in this picture? And they always say that it's the cows or the people on the horses. Those are the things that are repeated. The band members are the motif because they are repeated. The Pringles cans are the motif because they are repeated. Now, when you get into sculpture, the thing that's repeated is called a module. So in this sculpture right here, it's the horses that are the module. They are the ones that are repeated over and over. In this sculpture, it is the matchstick that is the module that is repeated. And in this sculpture, it is the ovals that are repeated. And in this Chiuli sculpture, it is the squiggles that are repeated. The squiggles are the motif, or not the motif, but the module. The figures are the module that are repeated. Your book defines the term pattern. A pattern is a two-dimensional decorative surface quality. So they tend to be more like patterns are quite simple. You have stripes, you have polka dots, you have the checkerboard, you got fish scales. These are all very decorative. The paisley pattern. These are all patterns. All right, we got 5 types of rhythm. We've got random rhythm, regular rhythm, alternating rhythm, flowing rhythm, and progressive rhythm. So random rhythm is where the motif is repeated in no apparent order. So like this crowd of people, the motif is the person, but it's all over the place. There's no real order to the repetition of the person. All right, these grapes are repeated in random order. These polka dots are repeated in no apparent order. Some are small, some are big, some are close together, some are far away. Like these circles are not in any kind of order. And these squiggles are not in any kind of order. It's all random. So Jackson Pollock's drips are in random order, seemingly. The images in this seem to be in random order. These shapes and forms are in random order, as well as the ships as well as the shapes and forms in this ceiling. They are all in seemingly a random order. These people are in a seemingly random order. Regular rhythms, when you have identical motifs with an equal amount of space between them. And the book says that regular rhythm can be boring. If you can imagine a song with one note being played over and over, that would be a very boring song. And that's what the regular rhythm is. So, like stripes are evenly placed, they're all the same. The checkerboards are evenly placed. The polka dots, the grid, the squares, they're all evenly placed, and that creates this regular rhythm. All the motifs that are repeated are the same size, same format, and with an equal amount of distance between them. So, like the windows on this office building, this is a regular rhythm, and even on like the modern office buildings with these glass facades, they have a regular rhythm to them. So Andy Warhol uses a lot of regular rhythm to express the industrialization of modern culture. Again, with the Andy Warhol using regular rhythm. This Magritte painting, I think, shows regular rhythm. And yeah, the people are in different places, but they're all the same. All these figures are the same, and they are equally spaced. I think if you as you go back into space, they are equally spaced. Alternating rhythm is the use of a second motif or a change in the original motif's orientation. So in this example, we have a cube, cylinder, cube, cylinder, cube, cylinder, and so on. That creates this alternating rhythm. Think of it like a rhythm that goes A, B, A, B, A, B. So in this chair right here, in this bench, you have a butterfly shape and an oval, and a butterfly shape and an oval, and a butterfly, oval, and a butterfly. That's A, B, A, B, A, B. Green, red, green, red, green, red, black, white, black, white, black, white. So we can see that a little bit in the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, where the Ignudi and the medallions are alternate. So it's Ignudi, medallion, Ignudi, Ignudi, medallion, Ignudi. So it creates an alternating rhythm up on the ceiling. Flowing rhythm, when you think of flowing rhythm, think of things that flow like air and water. So it's created by repeated wavy lines. I think this is Antelope Canyon, and so the erosion of these rocks have created this flowing rhythm of the rocks. This is an example of flowing rhythm, and this too. And in art, we have artists that specifically choose to do these flowing lines to help guide the eye from one place to another. So in this Bala painting of the flight of a bird, you have these flowing lines that show how the bird flies. In this one right here, we have all these birds kind of flow with this flowing. And then if you look at the ocean down below, there's all the flowing lines that are down there. All of this creates a flowing rhythm. There's a lot of flowing rhythm in the backgrounds of Kehinde Wiley paintings. This Boccioni sculpture has flowing lines in it to show like the wind passing by the human figure. The flowing lines that are in the multiple feet and legs of the little dog on a walk and the person walking them. And the granddaddy of them all with the flowing lines is um, Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. You can see the flowing lines in the fabric. Anytime you have this flowing fabric, you know that you're dealing with flowing. And also her hair is a good example of that. Those flowing lines. You can see the flowing lines in this Pollock painting. They look like little swirls and curling lines. You can, and like I said, anytime you have like billows of fabric in these works of art, you are dealing with flowing rhythm. Again, with the fabric, you can see that flowing rhythm. Again, with David, you can see the flowing rhythm in his that yellow fabric that he has draped around him. And then progressive rhythm is when the motif changes just a little bit each time it's repeated. So in the example on the left, we have these rows of cubes that get larger as they are repeated. Or in the example on the right, each cube gets larger as it's repeated. and that creates a progressive rhythm. So, this series of photographs, we see the progress of the Eiffel Tower being built, and when they're put all together, it creates this flowing or this progressive rhythm. In this teamwork poster, we can see the progressive rhythm of a killer whale or an orca jumping up over in the water. We can see the progressive rhythm that each time the light is repeated, it gets smaller and smaller. Each time the tree is repeated, it gets smaller and smaller. And not only does it get smaller, but it gets lighter as it goes into the fog. Here, this painting by Bala, the motif are these little V's that are coming out of the light. And the little V's get larger as they come farther from the light. And they also get a little bit darker as they get farther from the light. We have the progressive rhythm as the figure goes down the stairs. It shows the progressive rhythm. And the number 5, each time it's repeated, shows a progressive rhythm. And then, you can talk about, the differences between different styles of art. For example, in the Renaissance, we have this rhythm of these, vertical figures, and your eye travels from one to another. But on the right, well, let me go back to the one on the left, the Renaissance painting. It is very orderly how the lines are repeated as you go from left to right. But if you look at on the right, all the figures are intermingled with each other, and so the rhythm that you follow doesn't quite go in such a linear fashion as it does in the Renaissance example up on the screen. All right, that's it for now.